This video is sponsored by Blaze's Ultimate Game Idea Contest powered by Fiverr. In this video, we're going to look at 3 ways to handle doors in Unity. All 3 methods are valid and you can choose which one best suits your game. Later, we're also going to look at 4 ways we can interact with our doors using a button, key, pressure plate, and automatic. Let's begin! Hello and welcome, I'm your Code Monkey, and this channel is all about helping you learn how to make your own games with in-depth tutorials made by a professional indie game developer. So if you find the video helpful, consider subscribing. Okay, so here's what we're trying to make. Over here is my player character just moving around normally. And over here we have 3 separate doors demonstrating 3 separate methods of handling a door. Right now they are all closed and they have colliders, so if I go through it, nope, I cannot go through the door. And now by pressing a button, I can interact with any of these doors. Do you have a really cool game idea you've been wanting to create? Then check out Blaze's Ultimate Game Idea Contest, where anyone can turn an idea into a game. This contest is your moment to take any idea you have and make it a reality. The top prize is $25,000 in Fiverr credits to build or finish your game. You can submit a game idea you have, or a game you've been working on that hasn't been published yet, or even a mod to an existing game. The submissions are now open and the deadline is on March 24th, so check it out right now. You keep all the rights to your game, so if you submit and win, you can use the prize money to make something really cool and in the end still publish it on Steam or the App Store. 5 finalists will be selected and each will receive $1,000 in Fiverr credits to brand their game. Then from those 5, one will receive the top prize of $25,000 in Fiverr credits to build or finish their game. So if you have a cool game idea you've wanted to make, or a game you're currently working on, then go to ultimategameidea.com and submit it until March 24th. For official rules, terms, and conditions, go to ultimategameidea.com. Thank you to our sponsor, and thank you to these awesome supporters for making this video possible. Go to patreon.com/unitycodemonkey to get some perks and help keep the videos free for everyone. So first of all, here on the left is the one using the simplest method. It simply enables or disables a game object. So if I try to go through, nope, can't do it. But if I press a button, there you go, the game object is disabled, so the collider is disabled, and I can now easily go through it. And I press another button, and the game object is now active, and I can no longer go through it. So that's the simplest, most straightforward approach, just enabling and disabling a game object. And then over here we have this one, which is more like what you might use in a proper game. This one is using an animation in order to move its colliders. So first of all, it's nice and solid. Then I press a button and there you go, it plays a nice animation, moves the doors around, which also moves the colliders, and I can now go through it. Now press another button and there you go, it moves the colliders back, and again, it's once again solid. So the animation is moving the transforms, which also moves the colliders, so I can pass through. And lastly, over here we have the third method. This one is based on a hinge joint, so this could be the best one if you had a pure top-down perspective game, something like Hotline Miami or my Survivor Squad games. So for starters, I try to go through it, and nope, can't do it, it's solid. And now I press a button, and the door is unlocked, and I can now go through it, and yep, I can push it, and it works as a hinge joint. And now I press another button, and there you go, it closes instantly, and once again, it's back to being solid. Alright, so here are the 3 methods of handling doors. First with a game object enable disable, then with a animation to open and close by moving the colliders, and finally with a hinge joint that we can lock or unlock. So these are our 3 methods. Now in the next video I will cover 4 ways of interacting with any of these doors. So here I have another demo scene with those 4 methods. They are all using the door animated type. Now this one on the left is pretty much like we saw. So I go in here, I press a button, and there you go, opens the door, press the button again, and it closes. Then over here we have one based on a key. I actually covered this specific key door system in detail in another video as well. So if I don't have the key, there you go, the door is closed. But if I pick up the key and go near the door, there you go, it opens. So that's the second method for interacting with a door. And over here, the third one, this one is based on a pressure plate. So as I step on it, yep, there you go, it opens the door. And when I step out, it starts counting out a timer, and as soon as the timer elapses, the door closes. And finally over here is the last interaction method. This one is a simple automatic door, so as I approach, it opens, and I go through, I move away, and there you go, it closes. So here are 4 methods to interact with doors that I will showcase in the next video. And all 4 interaction methods work with any of the 3 types of doors that we're going to cover in this one. If you're watching this in the future, then check the link in the description, and if not, it should be out by next week. Alright, so here we have our 3 methods of handling doors. This is our goal, so let's get to it. Okay, so here's the starting scene. I just have some walls and the player has some movement code and some hitboxes. Check out the character controller video I made previously to see how this character is set up. Okay, so now we have this very nice gap and let's add our first door. Now over here I have some door sprites, so let's just drag it in. So the left door and then the right door. And now in order to keep our object nicely organized, let's put both of our sprites inside of a child game object. So let's make a new one, call it the door, and drag both of them on there. So we have our door and let's place it right in our gap. Alright, so here's our door visual. Now in order for it to be solid, let's add a box collider component. And let's edit the size to be about that. Okay. There's our collider. So just like this, we should have a blockable door. Let's test. So here we are, and if I move into the wall, nope, cannot go through the wall, and through the door, nope, cannot go through the door. All right, great. So far, so good. Now, this will be the door that is based on instantly enabling and disabling the game object. So let's make our script to handle it. Create a new C# script. We're going to call this the door set active. And let's drag it on top of our door game object. Okay. Now in here, let's just make 2 very simple functions. So we're going to have a public void open door and a public void close door. So these are our 2 basic actions with our door. And inside, all we're going to do is extremely simple. We access the game object in order to do set active. So this enables or disables the game object. So in this case, when we want to open, let's disable the game object. And when we want to close, we enable it. Alright, so that's it. Very simple. This is the simplest method. We just enable or disable the game object. Now we just need to call these functions. So let's see the simplest method for interacting with this door. We're going to make it so that we press a button in order to open a door and a button to close it. Let's make our script. So in here, let's make a new C# script. I'm going to call this the door trigger button. And let's make a game object to run our script. So new game object, give it a name. And drag the script. Okay. Now in here, all we're going to do is first of all add a serialized field for our door. So door set active. And now we do a private void update. And on update, let's listen to input get key down. And let's say when we press the F key, then we want to open the door. And if we press G, then let's close it. Alright, here's our very basic door trigger button. And back here in the editor, all we need to do is drag our door reference. Okay, that should do it. Let's test. Okay, here we are. And if we try to go through, nope, the door is closed, so it's a solid object. Now I press the button, and there you go. The game object is disabled, and the door is now open. So I can now freely go straight through it. And I'll press the close button, and there you go. The game object is enabled again. The door closes, and again, there it is. I cannot go through it. Alright, so we have our door working. Awesome. Alright, so here we have the first and simplest method of handling a door. It works with setting a game object either enabled or disabled. And doing so makes the collider either solid or not. So this is the most basic method. This works, although having the door instantly disappear and appear doesn't really look too good. So let's check out the second method of handling a door, this one using animations. So first let's start off by duplicating our door. So let's duplicate and keep this one on the background. So now here we have the door animated. And let's also remove the set active script. And now this one is going to be animated. So we're going to have an animation push it to the side so the player can pass. So for that, let's add the animator component. And now we need a animator controller. So let's go in here, create. Down here we have the animator controller. So here it is, we have the standard basic Unity animator. Now let's create the animation to open our door. So first we need the animation tab. So we can right click in here in order to add a tab. Let's add the animation tab. There it is. Now we select our door animator object and create an animation clip. Okay, so here we have our object and the animation tab open. Now for our animation, let's push the doors to the side. But since we're moving with the position, we want to make sure we do not mess around with the global position, rather just the local. So instead of moving our main game object, we're going to move the two children. So first of all, on this frame, let's leave it exactly where they were. Then we move ahead, let's say 30 frames, and push it all to the right. Alright, so that's it. Just like this, we have our simple door open animation. Now, one thing related to the animation is let's go into the projects and select our door open animation. And in here, this is a door open, so let's disable our looping. Alright, so that's this one working, and now we can also duplicate it to make the door close animation. And to add it to our object, let's go into the animator and we drag the door close animation. And now with our object selected, we can go into the animation tab and over here select the door close, and let's swap them out. So this one starts off with this frame and ends with that one. Alright, so there it is, there's the close animation. So here on our animator, we have both of our animation states. Now, first of all, let's start off with the door closed. So make this one the default state, okay? And now we're going to have a transition from closed onto open. And now we don't want this transition to happen right away, rather only when something happens. So for that, let's go into the parameters. In order to add, we're going to add a boolean. Let's call it open. And now here, when we select this transition, we can make it a condition. And the condition is when open is set to true. So when open is set to true, we're going to open our door. And then we make a transition from open into closed. And this one is with the condition when open is set to false. Alright, so we have our basic animator set up. We just have a open parameter that we can turn either true or false. Now all we need is to interact with this. So let's make our script. So create a new C# script for our door animated. And let's drag it onto our game object, okay. And now in here, we're going to make our simple open and close doors functions like we did with the other one. And in order to open and close, we're going to need access to our animator. So let's grab it on the awake. So we get the animator, and when we open, we call setBool. We're going to set the open to true. And when we close, we set it to false. And that's it. That's our very basic script. So just like this, our code should be working. Just one last thing over here on our door. The way we animate it is we're only moving the inner objects, but the box collider is currently in this one. So right now, if we did the animation, it would still remain a solid object. So in order to fix that, let's remove the box collider from this one and instead place it on our inner objects. So now when these two objects move, the colliders will move with it. And in order to test, let's also change our trigger script. So here on the door trigger button, instead of receiving if type door set active, we're going to receive if door animated. And the function calls are exactly the same, so nothing else needs to change. Just back in the editor, we need to drag our door animated reference. Okay, so just like this should working, let's test. Okay, here we are, and the door starts off closed, and if I try to go through it, nope, it's a solid object. Now I press the button, and there you go, the animation plays, and the door opens, and I can now go through it. Now press the other one, and it plays the other animation, and now the door is closed. Alright, so here we have a door fully working with an animation instead of simply enabling or disabling. So this is our second method for handling doors. This one is made using an animation which moves the collider so that we can actually go through it. Awesome! Now over here I have a door which works in the exact same way, but it's nicely polished. I made this door for the key door system video, and then I also reused it in the top-down shooter game that I made. So it's functionally exactly the same, so press a button, there you go, a very nice, more complex animation, and the doors open one for each side, and in order to close, there you go, just like that. So functionally exactly the same, and you can see that it looks very nice. Alright, so this is the second method, and it looks quite nice. Alright, now let's check out the third method. This one is going to be using a hinge joint. Now a hinge joint is one way to connect an object onto another. So the hinge door is going to be a bit different. So let's start off with an empty game object, call it our door hinge. And now inside we're going to have two parts. We're going to have the hinge and the door. So for that, let's create a basic sprite. And then in here I have a simple white pixel. So just like that, this one is going to be working as our hinge. And now for the door. And over here is the door. So we have our two objects. Now on the hinge, let's add a component. And we're going to select the hinge joint 2D. There you go, you can already see the widget. Once you add the hinge joint, you can see that it also adds a rigid body. And then on the hinge joint, you can see that it has a connected rigid body. So let's go into our door sprite and in here add a rigid body as well as a collider. And now we can go back into the hinge and drag our door as our connected rigid body. So those two are now linked. And now in order to limit the rotation, we can add over here our use limits. And let's say that the rotation is just like that. All right, so that's pretty much the setup. And since we're working in top-down, then we can actually make this one just static instead of dynamic, since we don't want our hinge to move. And let's also go into the door and disable our gravity. All right, so this is all pretty much set up. The hinge joint will limit how much this second door object actually moves. All right, that should do it. Let's test. Okay, so here we are. There's our door, and if we go to it and push it, yep, there you go. I pushed the door and worked exactly as the door should. So there you go, it's working. So this object is connected to that hinge. And because of the limits that we set up, we can actually either limit this or make it bigger. All right, so here's our door working. Awesome. Now the question becomes is how do we actually open or close this door? Right now there's no lock on this door, so I can just go straight through it and push it. Now we can very easily add a lock with one very simple thing. Here we can easily play around with our limits. So when it's locked, we're going to limit the angles to 0, and when it's unlocked, we're going to set it to these values. So let's make our door script. So a new C# script for our door hinge, and let's drag the object onto it. Okay. Now in here, let's do our normal open and close functions. All right, that's it. And now on awake, let's grab the values that we set in the editor. So first of all, we find our hinge. So transform find our hinge game object. And then we get the component of type hinge join 2D. And now in here, we can access our limits. So let's store the limits that are on awake. And then we also define the closed door limits. And to close it, we're simply going to set the min and max onto 0f. All right, so that's pretty much it. We have our open door and closed door limits. And then when we open, we simply apply them. So we go into the hinge join 2D and set the limits to the open door limits. And in here to the closed door limits. All right, that's it. Very basic. Now let's modify our trigger button script. So in here, instead of door names, let's use a door hinge. Back in the editor, let's drag our reference. And one last thing in here, let's make sure we start off with a closed door, just like that. All right, let's test. Okay, so here we are. And if I try to push it, nope, can't do it. So door is now solid. And I'll press the button and the door should now be unlocked. And if I go through it, yep, there you go. Now I can push it and push the door around. Now press the other one. And there you go, it sets the limits and it automatically closes the door. All right, so here I can lock and unlock our very nice door. Awesome. So this is our third method using a hinge joint to make our door. This is the perfect method if you have some sort of pure top-down game like Hotline Miami or even my Survivor Squad games. Alright, so here we have our three methods of handling doors. Now first we saw enabling and disabling a game object, so right now it's solid. Then press a button, and the game object is disabled, and I can now go through it. Press again, and now it's solid again. Then over here we have the animation. So right now it's solid, press a button, the animation plays, it pushes away the colliders, and I can now go through it, and there you go, close it again. So this is the second method. And thirdly, we made it using a hinge joint. So right now it's locked, I cannot push it, but if I press a button, I can unlock it, and now I can push it, press another button, and it goes back to being closed. So here we have three ways of handling our doors. Now in the next video, I will cover 4 methods of interacting with any of these doors. So here is a demo of the 4 methods we're going to cover. The one on the left is just like we saw, it's button activated, so as I get near and press a button, there you go, the door opens, I can go through, press another button, and it closes, okay. Then this one is actually based on a key. So right now I push it and I cannot go through it, but if I pick up the key and I'll go through it, yep, there you go, the door is now open. Next is one based on a pressure plate, so again, it's still solid, now step on it and the door opens. And if I step away, it counts down a timer, and after a certain amount of time, there you go, the door closes again. So I need to step on it in order to go through it, and go quickly, and it closes. And finally, over here is the last interaction method. This one is a simple automatic door. So as I approach it, there you go, it opens, and I go through it, move away, and it closes back again. So there you go, just like this. So these are the 4 methods to interact with doors that I will showcase in the next video. And all 4 interaction methods work with any of the 3 types of doors that we covered in this video. So if you're watching this in the future, check the link in the description, and if not, it should be out by next week. Thank you to our sponsor, and thank you to these awesome supporters for making this video possible. Go to patreon.com/unitycodemonkey to get some perks and help keep the videos free for everyone. As always, you can download the project files and utilities from unitycodemonkey.com. Subscribe to the channel for more Unity tutorials, post any questions you have in the comments, and I'll see you next time.